Hi everyone. Thank you for stopping by today to join me with Imagine That with Carla. This is Carla and today I have made about 7 projects using some floral stems and little containers that I've collected to make some little mini florals for my booth. These are easy to put together, but they turn out really cute. Also, at the end of my video, I had something that I had made last year and put in my booth, and it didn't sell. So we're going to remake that and put it in my booth again, and we'll just see how that turns out. And hopefully that will sell this year. So without further ado, let's get started with those little smalls that you can either use as gifts, use in your home, or if you have a booth, you can place those in your booth. So here are some little containers that I've collected, candle holders, little jars. These cans I got last year at the end of the season sale at Hobby Lobby, and I just repainted those. And I have all these little flower stickers from Taperlogy. You've probably seen that pop up on your ad sometime, and I ordered some, and they are the sweetest little flowers that you can put as transfers on different little objects, and they really do stick on very well, and they don't have much of a halo around them, so they really look nice on your little projects. On this little ceramic pitcher, I decided to go with some little pink roses. Put one on the front and one on the back. And I started putting one arrangement in this, and it just did not turn out at all. So I went back off camera and I used some little pink rosebuds that I had, and I put those in here, and I think they turned out really sweet. Here I'm just taking some of my flower foam and cutting me a little piece to put down inside so I can get my little flower stems to stand up in there. So here we're going to jump to what I ended up finishing with, and I think it looked really sweet. The other one, I just could not get it to come together, so we went with this one instead. For this one, this was a little candle holder. It's a crystal candle holder, and the little bouquet of Easter ephemera, like the eggs, and there's a butterfly in there. It's kind of foo-foo-y, but I took it off of another, it was a rabbit, I guess, and I just didn't want it to be that fancy. But I thought in a little crystal candle holder, that would make a cute little Easter bouquet to sit around for spring. For this one, I just have this small bottle, like a vase, and I'm just taking some of this green moss and poking it down inside the bottles so the stems won't be visible through the clear glass in the bottle. And I have this stem, I can't really see, it either came from Walmart or Michael's. Michael's was having a 50% off of their floral stems, and so I did pick up some from there. And these are, really sweet, simple. Just put them down inside of that jar that has the moss to cover the stems, and it turns out really cute, simple and very sweet. I'm going to take just a little bit of this trim that I had in my stash from Hobby Lobby and just tie a little bow, and that finishes this one off really cute. This is just a little stainless bowl I picked up probably at an estate sale, and here I had this flower bunch, and it had all different kinds of flowers on it that coordinated, with yellow, but different flowers. So I just cut off some of those, got some of my flower foam, and used some hot glue to kind of secure that in. I didn't take a lot of pains with it because all I wanted was it to be in there secure enough for me to be able to poke my stems in so they wouldn't fall out. I wanted this larger flower to kind of go on the side a little bit and then kind of work my way on both sides and at the top with that. And I was very fortunate in that this flower bush that I had, it had kind of doubles of the same kinds of flowers. So I was able to put what I put on one side, on the other side, and in the back something similar. So it really all tied together very nicely. And then I decided it needed probably the little white daisies to go on the other side. So we found that on that bush and trimmed it off and put it in there. Then I thought it stuck out a little too far, so I just needed to reposition that so it went down in there a little better, and it gives a nice compact little floral arrangement. On this little container, this is the one that I said I repainted it. I spray painted that outside, and I put my foam in there and found another little Taperlogy transfer, and I took that little flower, little bouquet of flowers, and just put that on the front. Used my little transfer tool to kind of get that on there nice and secure. Then just peeled it off. Now, this is the little flowers that I started with on that little ceramic pitcher that it just did not work. But on this particular little arrangement, I wanted them to be more wispy. I didn't want it to be a real compact arrangement. So I'm, using these, it looks like baby's breath, little pastel colors of baby's breath, some yellows and blues and pink hues. And I'm just kind of placing those in there and to make it look like they're just kind of growing randomly. In the back, I wanted to use the larger leaves to kind of fill in any spaces that might be back there. Now I'm going to use some of my Spectrum Noir, kind of like Rub and Buff. It's a gold gilded wax. Just kind of go around the bottom and go around that little ridge under the handles. And to put on those kind of faux nail heads that are on the handles and around the top of the can. And I didn't put any kind of ribbon or trim on this because I thought it looked really sweet just the way it was. here I have just a very small glass bottle, and I'm taking this little white transfer flower from Taperlogy and just going to press that on. That's one nice thing about having hard nails. You can almost use that as a transfer tool. Put a little of that green moss inside. And wasn't exactly sure. This little floral stem with the little berries on it came off of something, and I love it. I think it's so cute, but it just did not work. Didn't look right. So on this little bush, they had several of little bunches like this one I just pulled off. So I just clipped that down because it had different florals and some greeneries and leaves, and that's all I needed for that. That looked just fine. Gonna poke a little more moss in there to give it a little more stability since it is longer and the vase is a little bit shorter. Here I have some of Cabin Creek's, that crinkly seam binding that I love to use on some of my crafts. I'm just going to tie that on, kind of pull it to the side so it doesn't cover up the flower, and this looks really sweet. This is the second little milk can, and for this I'm going to start out by getting all that foam dust or whatever you want to call it off of it because it is crumbly. And I'm going to start out by putting my gilded gold wax on there before I get my florals inside. Again, I'm going around the top, little faux nail heads, and the rim under the handles, and then the little rim at the bottom. Oh, there's that little pokey tool. I use it for everything, folks. I love my pokey tool. Now I'm going to cut out this little kind of yellow flower to put on. It's got yellow and white actually. We're going to put that on the front because I wanted to use some yellow little buds down in it with some greenery, so this worked out nice. So I'm going to trim this down. These came in these little stems like this. I think they had white and blue and pink. These came from Michael's. And then what I'm taking that little blue and greenery off of, and they have a little bit of white. I got those at Walmart, and they were only 97 cents a stem, but look at all the little pieces I can cut off of that and add it to my cute little floral arrangement. There, I had to take that out and position it a different way so it wasn't hanging down so far. in front of the can. And then I thought I would tie something around this. I got out 3 different options, and I ended up going with a little cream colored one with the gold polka dots on it because of the gold trim on the can itself. I thought maybe that would look really cute. I was going to try to make a bow, then I thought it's not really double-sided, so I didn't want to mess with trying to get it just perfect under there, so I went with a little knot, just twisted it so the gold polka dots would show. I'm going to pull that over, and that one is complete. Now this is the project that I had in my booth last year, and it didn't sell. And I will say it does look kind of plain. I think what happened was last year there were so many things going on when their new release came out with IOD, the spring release, that we were having spring open house, it seemed like, just right around the corner in my booth. And I was just trying to get things in it, so I really did not add a lot of detail to this. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking the Trimmings 3 IOD mold, taking some of my Sculpey air dry clay, and I'm going to make this border mold, and I'm going to make it go all the way around the inside of this frame. There I'm using the Titebond glue, my little brush, to make sure that's evenly distributed so it can have a good layer of glue on there when we put it up to that little frame. And that really worked really well. I was afraid they would be too wide. A lot of them were too wide for this, so that one worked nicely. Now I'm using DIY paint. This is Jamie Ray Vintage Cottage Colors, and this one is called Crockery. And this is the first can that I've used. I had this for a while, and I've had several of her other colors, but I have not used them yet, and it seems very thin, or I just did not maybe get it mixed up thoroughly. So I did try to mix it again and go back and try it again, and I think it did a little bit better. It just shows up a little darker, I think, on the chalk castings. So what I did here is I took some of Dixie Belle's salt spray, sea spray. I always want to call it salt spray, but it's sea spray, and it's just a texture additive. You can put it in your paint, and I wanted to put some texture around these beaded border and a little bit on the clay frame. So when that had dried, I decided to use step 1, Paint Couture's Crackle Medium. And after that dried about 45 minutes on its own, it suggests not using your heat tool with that. And then after that had dried about 45 minutes, I simply went on there with the step 2, and I put that on pretty thick. And I let that dry overnight. Then after that had dried overnight, I used some of Fusion's aging wax. I had never used this before, but I had it, so I thought I'm going to try it on this, and I love it. I love Fusion products. This just worked so nicely, and look how well that crackled. I got large cracks and little smaller crackles, and I'm going to put this on all of the frame. And then I thought the flowers have that really pretty kind of gold tone to them with the pink, kind of a goldy mauve kind of tone. And so I used my copper, and I didn't like it at all. It just was too orangey. Didn't work. So then I went back with the gold the gilded gold. And then I decided I needed more aging wax to kind of give me some distinction between the layers of the bead border and the inside clay bordered. I wanted a little bit of discrepancy there. So by adding that, I did get the contrast that I was looking for. And after I had done that, I'm liking it. That looks pretty good. And then I went with my cloth and kind of wiped some of that off. And then I decided to add some more of my gold on there to give it a little more contrast. And I'm liking the way this is turning out. I'm really liking the way that gold pulls up. I'm trying not to get it in a complete edging around there, kind of skip around a little bit. So there I took some black rub and buff, and I wanted a little more contrast on some of that, the clay border that I put around it. So I added that, and then I thought, I'm gonna put some around the outside edges, maybe give that a little pop on there. So I used my finger and used that rub and buff. Here's my pokey tool again. That wasn't coming out very well, so I just poked that down in there and got that started out. And I rubbed a little bit back over the beads, kind of thinking, I'm not sure if I like that as much as I thought I would. So I went back with my folk art gold metallic paint and went over some of those bead borders again and kind of highlighted a little bit inside of that clay border that we made. And I'm liking this. This is aging really well, I think. And so this was the final project with this little The Lover of Flowers from IOD Spring Release 2024. So tell me, what did you think? Did you like the idea of making all those little mini florals? If you have a booth, do you think you would like to put something like that in your booth? And what about the rebake? Personally, I thought it turned out better the second time around. I want to thank you all for your support and for watching my channel. It's a beautiful day here in the Ozarks in the 70s. I'm loving that, and I hope you're having a beautiful day wherever you are. And until next time, bye-bye.